So with 2022 about to wrap up, Sony have cleverly released a website which allows you to check your stats for the year of gaming on PlayStation, and they told me that I had played way too many hours on PlayStation this year, and in total I had played 61 games. And what I was interested to look at was what my top 5 most played were, and ignoring Share Factory because I edit the videos, my most played game was Gran Turismo with 105 hours, closely followed by Lego Star Wars with 92, then Horizon and DC Lego Supervillains. So trophy-wise, I earned 1,671 trophies this year, or at least up until the 4th of December, which is where this track's up until. And while it also breaks down how many of each trophy type you got, one of the things that I was wondering about was just what were my hardest trophies that I unlocked in 2022. So let's go through them. Sifu was a brutally tough game to master, and I knew going in that this would likely be a pretty tough plan, mainly due to the Prodigal Child trophy for beating the game while aged 25 or less. You see, Sifu is a 3D scrolling beat-em-up with a twist, in that each time you die, your character ages by a year, and if you die too many times, you'll end up as a slow old man who is one nasty punch away from permanent retirement. The game is rather short, which does work in your favour, as there's only like 5 levels in the game, with a boss at the end of each one, and after you go through them, you unlock shortcuts to skip large chunks of the level. So this trophy is very much a case of the more you play, the more you learn, the easier and more manageable this trophy becomes. I think in my first run, I was in my 40s after beating just level 2, so I had already voided this trophy really early on. Thankfully though, you can replay levels, and if you improve on the death count in those, you can take that new age with you and continue from there. So my first challenge was to beat level 1, aged 20, which was without dying once, to give me some buffer going into level 2, which is arguably the hardest one in the entire game. So level 2 is the nightclub, and I think this is the hardest one mainly due to how long of a stage it is, and the fact that there's a few annoying mini-bosses in and around the club that can easily wipe you out. Plus, the final boss can be troublesome, especially when the nerves kick in, having just spent the last 30 minutes trying to get to him without dying, and then just being nervous that you're going to mess it up. I remember getting very frustrated with the game, this stupid trophy and the age mechanic, and also getting angry at myself for maybe getting reckless and a bit too cocky, or just messing up in certain easy fights that I shouldn't have been getting hurt or killed in, that just cost me too much health or another life. There were many failed runs and many failed boss fights, but inch by inch, I gradually started to make progress and managed to arrive at the final level, aged I think 23, which meant I could die twice here and still unlock the trophy. But even with that advantage, the final boss still absolutely kicked my ass, and I had to replay this fight a good 50 or so times before I finally beat him and unlocked the trophy. I would nail down the first phase of the fight and eventually start to get through that without ever dying a lot of the times, only to then get majorly owned in the second phase, struggling to even land a few hits on him and take half his health off before he killed me enough times to push me over the 25 age limit. And then I would try and replay it again, and I'd start messing up on the first phase, losing lives there, and it would just go around in this horrible cycle of just failure over and over again, until eventually I did learn how to fight him in that second phase, and how to avoid those specific attacks that would just either take you out completely or damage me way too much. So gradually I got better and better, and what I like about this trophy is that it made me master the game. It made me learn the combat mechanics properly to really play it like a martial arts master in the movies. I became so much better at this game because of this trophy, and I got so much more out of the game as a result of this trophy. I think if this trophy wasn't there, I obviously wouldn't have raged as much and wouldn't have got really angry with it and obsessed over it, but I wouldn't have played it, and I would have just gone through the game once and gone, yeah, that was okay, on to the next one. But because of this trophy, I had to play it again and again, and I really ended up digging deep into the combat and how to get through the levels efficiently, and because of that, because of the extra time I spent mastering it, I ended up really loving this game. And to be honest, I think this was probably my game of the year, as I just had so much fun with See-Through, and it was all thanks to this tough and annoying trophy. Next up, we have the Master Spirit Guide trophy from Kena Bridge of Spirits, and this one is here on a bit of a technicality because while I did use a glitch to get this trophy the easy way, if I was to have done it properly, this would have been a really tough and, in my opinion, way too much of a bullshit trophy. The master difficulty in this mode is basically the hardest mode of the game, and it's absolutely horrible as it severely limits your ability to heal, and you don't have enough of the yellow circle thing to be able to heal, and the plants don't respawn, and when the enemies are doing even more damage in this mode, it just makes the whole experience really, really bullshit. And to be honest, the combat in this game annoyed me anyway. It was one of the worst things about the game for me. And I really just disliked every encounter that I was in because I was always getting attacked off screen by these smaller enemies that were throwing shit at me. And it just made the whole ordeal really frustrating. So while I wanted the platinum, I just couldn't face replaying it again on an even harder mode and having an even worse time with the combat. So I did the glitch to do it on easy instead and change the difficulty at the end. So you can say I chickened out, but to be honest, I don't care. I have the trophy and the platinum now on both the PS4 and 5 versions, so screw this game. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for tough trophies, but this one just seemed like a step too far. And even when they added New Game Plus so you can replay the game again with all the abilities unlocked right away, which would have made this trophy more manageable and slightly easier and bearable, they instead deliberately added even more enemies to the mode to make it more harder. So that's just bullshit in my opinion. So yeah, I included it anyway because this is a tough trophy to get, and if anyone out there who's watching this and they did do it legit, well, I salute you, well done. Gran Turismo is a game I am a casual fan of who kind of dips in and out of it. I loved Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, especially with that feeder soundtrack, but I hated Gran Turismo 5, and the only other one that I have is Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5, which kind of lured me back in because I had brought a steering wheel and wanted a racing game to play it on. Though that wheel actually hindered me when going for the hard work pays off trophy, as I could drive much better with the controller than the actual steering wheel. Go figure. This is the hardest trophy in the game by a mile, as to get gold on all 50 license tests isn't going to be easy. Trust me, it really wasn't. Hell, I was struggling on the national A license tests, never mind the international ones, and then the special licenses, which are the final 10 hardest ones in the game. I spent countless days, maybe even weeks on this trophy, gradually working my way through each of the 50 license tests, and my strategy was to just brutally play one over and over again until I had mastered it and gotten gold. I didn't want to try doing several of them in one of the license categories, as I felt the best way was to just focus on one specific test, get it nailed down, and then move on to the next one. So there were honestly countless brick walls that I'd driven into during this challenge where I just couldn't get anywhere near the time for silver, never mind the gold time. I would replay tracks and license tests over and over again, and I would try things like changing the tuning settings on the cars, trying out the wheel and then the pad, even changing the camera and setting the ghost car times to like 2.2 of a second ahead of me so that I could always see their car in front of me and use them as a guide. I would try anything to help me just shave a few more tenths of a second off the time to inch me closer to that gold time. It honestly was a trophy roller coaster, with me getting angry, frustrated and upset over a specific license test that I just couldn't beat. I would want to rage quit and give up on it, only to then come back to it minutes, hours, or maybe even sometimes days later, as I couldn't let this go. I couldn't get this trophy and this game and whatever test it was out of my head. I was always thinking about it and thinking, what could I do better? So I would end up coming back and I would knuckle down and I would learn the track, I would learn the car, and I'd manage to overcome that obstacle, climb that mountain, and once I'd got that gold time, I'd be so ecstatic, I'd be so happy and emotional, and I'd be full of hope again that I'm now one test closer to the trophy, and if I could do that one, I could do the next one, and I'd be like, yeah, I can do this trophy now, I've got that hope. And then once I moved on to the next one, I'd hit the next brick wall and I'd have to start that whole process over again. For me though, the hardest one and the closest I got to just outright giving up was the S4 super license test. As the super licenses in themselves, the final 10 are the toughest ones, but S4 in particular, it took me about a week to get this one. It absolutely crushed my soul. I did countless laps and I just couldn't get anywhere close to that gold time, mainly I think because of those last few corners, and then coming out on that last corner to do the home stretch, I just was never fast enough and I would never get near the time. And I must have done over 100 laps on this test just trying to get that gold time, and it seriously just broke me because I just couldn't see any way to get better and get that time down. And the problem I had with it, that I couldn't give up at that point, was because I'd already suffered loads and spent so much time on the game to get to that point, and to get that far progressed with the trophy. I had conquered 43 license tests before that, and I've come way too far now to give up. So eventually, after like a week off of the game, I think I just went back to it and I tried it, and I got back on it, and after maybe like an hour or so of playing that track again and again, somehow I beat it. I got that gold time, and then not long after that, I did all the other remaining S license ones and eventually got the trophy on the wet track, the S10 one. And when I finished that one in the middle of the night after like a 5+ hour session trying to get the last few gold times, it felt so good. I was jumping up and down for joy. I was so happy, and I was smiling and laughing to myself for about a week after, whenever it just popped into my head like, yeah, I did it, I got it. So yeah, that one was a really tough but a really satisfying one to eventually get. Oh, fucking cunt. Right fucking there. The Gold Can't Catch Me trophy in Stray requires you to complete the first Zerg pursuit without getting caught, and this is something that happens very early in the game on Chapter 2. After a cutscene, you find yourself being ambushed by these glowing ballsack things, and as the cat, you just need to run through this linear bit of the level, all the while trying to avoid all of these glowing ballsacks as they lunge at you to try and latch onto you. So all you have to do is hold R2 to sprint and just run through this pretty linear path with only one single route through the streets to get to the end, all the while trying to avoid all of these creatures as they jump at you. And if they do happen to hit you, well, that's it, game over. You need to restart the checkpoint and try this whole run again. And thankfully, it's only about a minute long to get from the beginning of this section to the end where the trophy will pop. but my god, what a gauntlet run it is. And all you can really do is just wiggle the left analog stick left and right like a twat, trying to sort of sway left and right to avoid these creatures. It's very much a bullshit bit, but if you do manage to get to the end, you will get the gold trophy. And when I first saw this in the list, I figured this would be pretty easy, especially considering it happens very early in the game. But after trying it for a few minutes, I quickly realised what a nightmare I was in for to get this trophy. Seriously, it pissed me right off, and I think I spent over an hour trying to get this damn trophy to unlock. When the level only takes you a minute to run through this bit for the trophy, you can tell how many times I must have tried to do this and failed before I eventually got the trophy. Next up is an older game and a trophy that I've actually gotten before on the PS3. It's Batman Arkham Asylum, and of course I'm talking about the hardest trophy in the game, the Free Throw Gold trophy for getting 24 medals on the combat challenges, which means you need to get the top 3 Batarang rating on each of the 8 combat challenges, the 4 easier normal versions, and then the 4 harder extreme versions where you need even more points and skill to get through them. Now, the first time I played Arkham Asylum, this game was brand new, and the combat system also was new, so it took a lot of getting used to it, and it really did punish me, and it was a very tough trophy to get, one that I thought would block me from the platinum. However, I've played all the Arkham games since then, as well as other games with similar combat systems like Spider-Man, so I am used to this style and combat mechanic now. So heading back into this game on the Return to Arkham collection for PS4, I was pretty confident that I could easily platinum this. However, I will say it is still a very tough and challenging thing to do, especially trying to get the 3 rating on the extreme ones. But honestly, once you nail down the move pattern and the order in which you're going to do all the moves and how to fight the enemies, it does get easier. My strategy with a lot of these was to always do the similar opening moves, like whether I would throw the grapple hook out or throw the batarangs out first, and then punch some, do the jump over, the cape, the stun, the takedowns, the throw, and then do the ground takedown onto that enemy because I've thrown them away. Things like that. I would get into a specific rhythm that I would always start the fight out doing that thing, and my strategy as well was to always go for the bonus where you do all of Batman's moves. So I think that netted you like 1,000 or 5,000 points bonus or something like that. It was a big jump in points for doing it. So even if my combo broke throughout the run and I didn't get the flawless untouchable bonus for getting hit without getting hit, I would always end up doing all the moves so that I'd get that bonus, which really helped. And learning as well, just learning when to use Batman's moves, like when to use the Batarang, when to use the grapple, how to deal with the enemies with the knives and the stun buttons, what specific move to use on them, whether it's like the stun or jumping over them and hitting them from behind, is very much key, as those are what can cost you points. If you attack those enemies incorrectly, you'll get hit and break your combo, and if you were to foolishly spam the Batarang or the grapple hook, that could easily cost you at the combo. So those were key, and that whole rhythm of using those moves and having a set battle plan at the start of a mission where I would launch the grapple hook, then take out some enemies, use specific moves, just helped because I was always in a rhythm and a groove. So if I did get knocked out of it, I could just quickly focus and know just to reset myself and do that again. And the hardest one, of course, was still the Shock and Awe Extreme, mainly due to the electricity on the floor and the tight time limit. But with big scores in the first 2 waves and a little bomb gel trick on the 3rd and 4th, it made that one very doable, and it wasn't long before I got all of them done and got the trophy. So on the whole, it's still a challenging trophy to go for, but it was very much a fun one to do, and like some other ones in this list, it helps you learn the game and master its combat mechanics, and as well as that, it also feels fucking great when you finally get them all done and get that 24th medal and the trophy.
Rudy, we both know you eat bugs like that for breakfast. I've got some real surprise.
Not even a fucking pizza. What the fuck is this? Is this the boss? Oh, okay. We've got nothing but scroll. Okay, he's got me. He got me, but I panicked there. Get the fuck back, Shredder. You asshole. That's right. Take my ninja scrolls, you motherfucker. Yes! Yes! Oh! Damn! That was easy. What the fucking kind of boss is that? That's why you need the ninja scrolls. That's probably really hard out there. And there we go. Shredding the Shredder. Silver trophy unlocked. Finally completing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES. And that is the platinum trophy as well. It's just popped. You probably can't see it because it blocked it for some reason. Oh my days. I have finally beaten Turtles. That corridor was a fucking nightmare. I don't know how you're supposed to get through that. You would have to get every turtle full health to that point to just tank it with like the 2 shit ones. Oh man, I didn't even see the ending again. I still didn't watch it. Oh my god, that was epic. And there we go. Ultra Games or Konami, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES, played on the PS4 version of TMNT Cowabunga Collection. Woo! I did it! I did it! Fuck me.
Unlocking this trophy requires you to complete all events in the galaxy, which is another way of saying achieve 100% completion in the game's open world. Here you can see from my save file that on the 25th of October 2022 I managed to achieve 100% completion in the game, thus unlocking the See You Around Kid trophy, and with it the Platinum trophy for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's just another LEGO game, right? But trust me when I say that getting this trophy was one of the longest, toughest, and most mind-numbingly tedious trophies I have ever gone for. And that's saying something, considering I have the Shenmue 3 Platinum in all of its 1000 fish caught glory. You see, 100% in this game is no small feat, and when compared to other LEGO games, this is on a different level entirely. In total, it took me 87 hours, that's right, 87 hours from unlocking the first trophy to all the way to unlocking the Platinum trophy, and in real time, this was done over the course of 6 months, as I needed some long breaks away from it to cope with the awfulness of this collectathon nightmare. Throughout those 87 hours spent with the game, fuck me, 87 hours I've wasted, Jesus. Outside of completing the game's story and 100% in those levels, I reckon I spent about 60 hours, if not more, doing all of the open world stuff, as in order to get 100% of the events complete in the galaxy, I needed to complete 140 side missions, solve 765 puzzles, complete 38 trials, finish 10 challenges spread across the game's 24 planets, all of which needed to be 100%ed. As well as that, I had to collect all 1,200 Kyber bricks, 225 mini-kits, 123 ships, 380 characters, and 19 data cards, which, as I'm sure you can see, is completely fucking overboard. It's a perfect example of bloated excess, with a developer simply adding more content for the sake of adding more content, and not for the sake of the player and their fun experience with the game. Now, sure, while some bricks or missions are shorter than others, they all still have way too many pointless and repetitive missions and puzzles that are just reused over and over and over again to the point of nausea and sheer rage at the mere sight of, say, another bloody smuggler mission in which you spend way too much time on this screen listening to this.
Hey, where do you think you're going, bug boy?
as you desperately try to get the cargo to the required planet, yet are constantly slowed down by the game, who wants you to repeat that same space battle another 2 or 3 times before it lets you get there, meaning you'll have to hear this another 2 or 3 times before this mission is over?
Oh, I never thought this was a good idea. It's a fucking cunt, man. I mean, really do like 4 of these back to back with this slow fucking thing as it loads me in. Like, oh my god, this is fucking dog shit, man.
Then, after wasting 10 minutes on what should have been a simple 2 to 3 minute mission, all you get for it is 1 measly kyber brick out of the 1,199 that you still need, which will just make you go,
Fuck your problem, pal. Dude.
Welcome to Jawbreaker.
Of the 3 Spec Ops co-op missions that are available in Modern Warfare 2, the Denied Area one is definitely the hardest to get the 3-star rating on to unlock the Hellride trophy, because its time limit requirement for 3 stars of 16 minutes is really tight, and if, like me, you're playing online with a bunch of randoms, this will become a really annoying thing as you try to play with people who you don't know and who may not know the map. And every time you see that mission complete screen and you see that it only gives you 2 stars because your time was nowhere near that 16-minute time, never mind Infinity Ward's best time of 10 minutes, you'll get more and more pissed off with this, as you just don't really know how the fuck you're supposed to do it within 16 minutes. It took me multiple attempts to get this trophy, and it was one that I just thought I would rage quit and give up on the platinum.